When I first posted this video, YouTube said the music has copyright violations. Then YouTube muted almost the whole video. So I redid the video and cut out as much of the music as I could. The title of this video says it all. But it is the truth. A good man who is making a good living does not want a woman who is overweight and has kids. What I mean by a good living is an average man who has an apartment, and is driving a decent and reliable car. It does not imply a rich man or a man who has a professional career. Thus, he can be a truck driver, a landscaper, working in a warehouse, or be a retail store manager. Most decent men don't want a woman who is overweight with kids. Especially if he is trying to build a better future for himself. He is going to look at the woman with kids and say that this is going to cost me a lot more money and inconveniences. And women know this is the truth. The woman in the video admitted several times that she knew and understood this. Yet, she still asked why her female friends could not get a man. What helps them to ignore the truth is the sisterhood. Women reinforce the lie by lying to each other, attempting to make one another feel good. Women tell each other that the man will accept you as you are, even with your kids. This is true, but they forget about the part where they have to get in the door first for him to accept you as you are. Plus, just because a man is having sex with you does not mean you are through the door. It is one thing to get a man, and it is another thing to keep him. If the woman has more than one child, the man might say, "I cannot deal with you because it looks like you get pregnant too easily." Because of this, he might not be willing to have sex with you. If you are a woman with children, then you must compensate for the fact that you have kids. Depending on how pretty you are and how overweight you are, many men can overlook your weight. But we cannot overlook the kids. But if the woman is pretty, overweight and has kids, then she must have more to offer than sex, cooking and cleaning. To get a good man or a decent man interested in keeping her, she must be logical and practical. Being logical and practical goes a long way in keeping a man, because most women are not logical or practical. For example, the woman is not rich, and she has a child. Yet, she gets her nails and hair done every week or every month. What is the percentage of your monthly car payment compared to your income? All of this indicates that she is not practical. If the woman is logical, then she will not be combative or argumentative. However, she will still offer advice, suggestions and her opinion. And after you both talk about the situation, you both will be satisfied with the decision because you looked at the facts and developed the best solution based on the facts. However, most single mothers are not logical and practical, because if they were, then they would not have had a baby out of wedlock. Accident my ass. Becoming pregnant was no accident. Especially when there are 40 different types of birth control. And most of them are free, or so cheap you can say that it is free. In the United States, Planned Parenthood, Medicaid and almost all health insurance will pay for a woman to get an IUD or hormonal intrauterine device. The woman in the video indicated that she is logical, practical and not combative or argumentative. And this is why she has a man and her female friends do not. I want to say one more thing before we get into the video. The woman in the video said that many women in the southern part of the United States are plus size or voluptuous. Meaning that many are overweight. And the men in the South like their women this way. And Mr. Kevin Samuels did correct her on this issue. But I want to add to what he said. Back in the 1980s, my father's business was in pantyhose. Most of the plus-size pantyhose we sold was to the southern part of the United States. We not only sold large, we sold all the way to 6 large. In other words, the South has a lot of big women. Really big women. It is not that the black men in the South like big women. This is kind of all they have to choose from. And since this was the way it was back in the 1980s, this is the way it has always been and still is today. So for all the men who think they have it bad, just imagine that you live in a place where most of the women are overweight with kids, combative and argumentative, with G.I. Jane haircuts. When I lived in Texas, I went to an all-black nightclub with my cousin. We sat next to the front door and watched all the black women coming in. My hair was longer than most of them. If I tried to drink that much, I would have died of alcohol poisoning.
I feel as though, I don't want to say I'm the woman that defies a lot of the odds that you're referencing, but I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I am 32 years old. I have one child. I'm currently in a relationship. And I'm plus size.
Okay.
And when I'm having conversations with some of my female friends, they say I'm the woman, as when they watch your videos, that defies the odds that you're referencing, because I'm in a relationship. And on the other hand, they want to know, I'm dating a man who has a blue collar job. He has his own business. And I am a working woman. I work in the finance industry. I'm also a homeowner. I have a lot that I bring to the table. So my female friends want to know why they can't be in a position like me.
Let's start with the basic stuff. Are they attractive?
I would say that they are attractive.
Okay, let's refine it. Are they 8s, 9s, and 10s in the face?
No.
Then
9s and 10s, no. Some 8s, yes.
And I have a different scale than most sisters use. I put Beyonce at 8, Kelly Rowland at 9.
Right.
Okay. So,
familiar.
And you said you're a plus size model. Are they in your area?
I'm not a model. I'm just a plus size woman.
Plus size, not plus size. Are they in shape? Are they fit?
Fit, no, but they have a shape. We're in the South, so let me start by saying that. So women who are more voluptuous like myself or have more of a curvy physique like myself are more attractive versus if you go somewhere else, then...
Now we're starting to get out. Now, I'm from the Midwest and I live in the South. We call this stuff voluptuous, and these are nice words. And I'm not going to go pejorative, but this is part of the problem because men say they won't date for several reasons.
Okay.
And for several reasons. Most men don't want women to weigh more than 80. We don't care where we're fat. So if your friends are wondering why they can't get your outcomes, they need to be on your level or better. Are they there?
On my level, yes.
Okay. You'll say, okay, they're on your level as far as aesthetic.
Yes.
Okay. Then we move on. Do they have children?
Yes.
More than one?
Yes. I'm the only one of my friends that has one child.
Most of the other ones has more?
Yes.
Okay. So they are on your level aesthetically, but they got more kids.
Mm-hmm.
Does that increase their overall value or decrease it?
It would decrease, I'm assuming.
What do you think?
I would assume how I look at it is if you got multiple baby daddies, that's going to decrease. If you were previously married and you have twins, I would look at you as being on the same level as myself.
That's really kind of a distinction, not a difference in this case. But if we're talking about multiple children, if I want to take you out to dinner and your kid comes with us, that's one plate. Got 2 kids, that's 2 plates. Everything else is double. It's a decrease.
That's fair.
So you're already stacking up the fact that if you're, and I'm just going to assume that what you're saying, they're 8s or better. Wait, let me back up. You said they're not 9s and 10s, but at least 8.
Yes.
Are there any that are not 8s? I mean, that are under?
Yes.
What percentage of a woman are under 8?
I would assume 50%, if not more.
All right. So we're talking about women that are not as attractive, more kids, and wondering why they can't beat the odds. The numbers tell the story.
Okay. But I guess in my thinking, my question is, if you have multiple children, you've had multiple opportunities to be in a relationship. And for whatever reason, a man finds her attractive enough to be in a relationship. I don't have any colleagues that just have kids out of one night stands and continue to have children with men.
Were they married?
Yes.
All of them?
No.
Right. 1 in 4 black women will get married. So I'm going to assume that the stats hold, most of them were unmarried.
Yes.
So unmarried women with multiple children who are 6s and below. who were overweight.
Yes. I get what you're saying in that regard. So that makes sense.
Trying to be as nice as I can, but I mean, see, and this is what I try to let guys understand. The way women's calculus is that you guys factor things differently. Well, it's the baby daddy or the husband or this or that, or I mean, because I can deal with a man, that means I've been in a relationship. Men look at your ex and your children's father, and that's as good as you'll ever get.
That's true.
So if the guy that your friends decide to have a baby with was down here, that's the level. They're not going to get a man up here. Because this man up here would look like a straight sucker for going to get her.
Okay.
And so it doesn't matter how much money they make or anything else like that. Because you also said men would not date a woman like yourself because of your income or something, because of what you bring to the table?
With my income, I have a bachelor's degree. I'm a homeowner. I have one child. I have my own standard in how I live, but I guess just looking at those things, they perceive me as a woman that is high maintenance. But I feel like at 32 years old, I'm not going to be living at my mama's house. I'm not going to be surviving and having the demand of somebody else to take care of me.
But the problem isn't the men. The problem is not going to be the men. See, let me flip it. You and your friends would not just screw anybody that wanted to screw you. You got to have a standard, right?
Absolutely.
You deserve that because it's your body, your choice, right?
Right.
And the world will be crazy to try to tell you, ladies, that you just screw every man that wanted to screw you because it's the right thing to do because they deserve to have a shot, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Then we're going to flip the same thing. The men can't be wrong when they say, this is what I want this is the standard I have for a woman I want to marry. I don't want her to have somebody else's child. I don't want her to be a certain weight, a certain look. I don't want her to have a certain kind of attitude. And just like no one can tell women that you should have to have sex with the kind of men that you don't find meet up to your standard, you can't tell men that they should wife women that don't meet up to theirs. Regardless as to we want to say, well, because I have a house or a bachelor's, that's a modern talking point to make more women sleep better at night. But that ain't why men really don't do it. It's because if you had the same women with the same kind of stuff you talk about, if they were fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, and submissive, those would be gone just like that.
Okay.
I'm just saying. So,
I never looked at it from that perspective, but I would agree with that.
But see, the thing, and important, what I'm trying to get ladies to understand is oftentimes you don't look at it from a man's perspective. You always look at it from a woman's perspective, and that's typically filtering your logic through your emotions, and then giving women the benefit of the doubt instead of holding women strictly accountable as if you would do to a man. You would hold a man strictly accountable before you gave him the benefit of the doubt. Women would.
I agree with that.
So when women say, girl, watch this channel and you beat the odds, well, I can understand where they're kind of coming from, but this is why I'm so adamant on the fact of having a child outside of wedlock is always going to cost.
It is.
And especially multiples. So, in most men's mind, if he was good enough to have a baby with, why aren't you his wife? And most women's responses are completely insufficient. So what you're starting to find is many women are starting to lie. They're starting to lie and say, oh, well, there was abuse. Which is a lie most of the time, because when I ask, well, was there a police report? Was it mutual combat? You go back on my channel, and there have been maybe 2 women who've actually filed police reports in the last 3 years that I've talked to who claim violence.
I would agree with that.
But I have them every week. claiming abuse.
Well, with my daughter's father and I had my daughter when I was 21, and we were coming into adulthood, partying, so on and so forth. And it just didn't work out. I think it's just because I was more groomed to be a mother and motherly, so on and so forth. And you're 21, you want to live your best years. And that was ultimately the reason why we ended our relationship. It did not go bad. There was no abuse. I would never say.
Well, you don't strike me as a woman that has a lot of attitude, and you haven't been, you know, loud, talkative, argumentative, or difficult to get along with. And unfortunately, if you watch my show, that's typically not how a lot of women get, especially when I start saying some things that they don't like. Relationships fail. They do. And
absolutely.
They happen. But we as a community would do better if we married earlier. Not early marriage, but married earlier. Number one. Number two, if women made it a requirement before they had a child that they were somebody's legal wife. Because that makes it easier for, even if it does fail, for somebody else to come along and say,